The property line where I butt up against the golf course. I got permission to plant the plants. You're looking at a row of dwarf myrtles that I planted, and this is the lake I have. On the right side is golf course. That white stake that you see in the distance is the boundary of the golf course. These plants right here that you're looking at are on my property line, and this is the lake that I get because the golf course elevation, topographical elevation of the golf course is out of compliance with the grading map. The master document, the control document for this golf course, the right side of that lake is out of compliance. That's why that lake is there. It can't run on to the golf course. Now, that lake used to be up there between the two houses. I spent over a year, single-handedly by myself with a shovel and a wheelbarrow and a little help from some excavators. I had to remove 100 yards of dirt from my two lots. Yeah, I'm going to pan over to the two houses, and you can see where I graded my lot properly. When I bought the house, my lot had a berm across it. Halfway between the patio and this lake was a berm that was 5 inches high. Now, this is my first house. This is lot 316. As you can see, it's for sale. It's been for sale for a long time. I'm having trouble selling it because I have to disclose to anybody that buys it that for 10 years, this lot and these two lots were retention basins for the golf course. The golf course and the golf course builders and the people who built my houses, those two houses were built first. The first thing they did was there's a tee box right there. That tee box is supposed to be a catch basin. The head wall that's on the tee box is supposed to be up there, past that white stake, in line with the white stake. This is what I've got left over. Now, the water has been moved from between the houses. With my grading, I had to bring an excavator in and give him $3,000 to move 75 yards of dirt. And as you can see, past the puddle of my neighbor's house, you can see the difference in grading. They graded my neighbor's lot with not a flat spot on it. It's all graded toward my house. Then they put a berm between my house and this lake or the property line to keep the water. This patio right here used to go underwater every time we had a storm similar to the storm that produced this water. And as you can see, that water's not soaking in. It rained for 2 days here. The ground is completely saturated. It can't hold any more water. That's why the water is here in a lake. The ground is completely saturated. And why is it saturated? Because this land right here, all the way to the ditch, is out of compliance with the grading map. The grading map is a control document. It's a blueprint of the topographical grading of all these lots. It's been tampered with. You're looking up at that white stake. It's going uphill, and there's the edge of the drainage tract, which is now being used as a catch basin, is much higher. It doesn't show up that way on the grading map. On the grading map, this should be dropping. That stake off in the distance at the end of the puddle should be lower than me, and it isn't. This is how they defended the tee box. They took the catch basin away and they let's call it consolidated the two tee boxes. I call it pirating, stealing, looting, pillaging, whatever you want to call it. Nobody was out here looking at them, and especially the inspectors and the people who had to buy off and inspect and certify this installation. They didn't do their job. When they found out that that pipe had been extended from past that white stake down to the lake by 91 feet, nothing was done. There was a question, an engineer asked the surveyor who surveyed it, why is it 91 feet longer, 51% longer than what's supposed to be? The only answer he got from the surveyor is, double checked, it is what it is, because of golf course redesign. Well, because the golf course redesigned that tee box and took away the catch basin and made it a valuable asset with irrigation and sodding, it's now a valuable asset. It isn't going to be used as a catch basin. Therefore, a collateral result of filling in this tee box and making it out of compliance with the grading map and the utility map. The utility map is another control document that says that that head wall and the end of that pipe is supposed to be up here in line with my property line. It's not. What they did is they filled in. The first thing the builder did before they started building these two houses, these were the first two houses built in parcel 12. Before they started building and laying the pads for them, the first thing they came in and did was bring in tons and tons and truckloads of dirt to fill in that catch basin and drainage basin. The drainage tract A got filled in. Tract A was the most dominant elevation in this corner. The corner of Twilight Trail and 233rd. The main drain. I'll close for now, but this is what I'm dealing with. I still can't get the water off my property. This ground is completely saturated. It can't hold any more water. Now, this used to happen over there between those two houses. Between those two houses was an engineered, this was chop shop, redneck, off-road, whatever you want to call it, engineering by the builders. They filled in the drainage tract, they graded this lot high and graded it toward my lot, and they put my house in the middle of a shallow saucer of land. They put a berm halfway between my patio and this property line, so all the water that you're looking at now, when we'd have a storm like we had the last 3 days, the ground would get so saturated over there that the water would just hang between those two houses, the same way it's sitting here now. The ground is so saturated it can't absorb any more water, so I would have a lake between the two houses, and it would stop. It would stop before it got to that palm tree. That palm tree right there, there was a berm in front of it. The lake couldn't get out. The water was landlocked. Take a good look. Okay, now that we have a little more light, I can shoot this from the other side, from the east. But I want to get down low and show you why this water can't get out of my house, off my property. To the left of that puddle is all high ground. That's why the puddle stops there. That's golf course. You have a white stake here, you have a white stake off in the distance. They're about a foot away from the property line. That row of plants right there I put in about May or July, and it's 32 dwarf myrtles. I had to grade from there to there so that I could get the water off my property and it wouldn't pool between the two houses like it did for 10 years. This is the 11th year I'm here, and I've fixed the grading to this point. Now I'm to my property line, and that line where you see the plants, I'm not down to the actual engineered property line elevation. I'm probably 6 inches or 8 inches higher than the property line is supposed to be, the elevation of the property line. That's the best I could do. And as you can see, the golf course is out of compliance. The whole purpose of the grading and the grading engineer, what he was attempting to do is use the golf course for retention. But when they built the yard and they built my lot, they said, we're not going to deal with any water from his yard. We're going to park the water right up there between his house. And if you can see, this is a grading I had to do. You can see the difference between my neighbor's house and my house. This is a grading I had to do to get the water down to here. Now the water isn't setting up between the houses. I've got it down here and it can't go any farther. And because it rained so hard for so long in the last 3 days, the ground is completely soaked. Now if this was one rainstorm that came in like last night and it hadn't rained previously for the previous 2 days, this water would all be gone. But I can tell you, if I step near any of those plants, I will sink in. The water, where the plants are, that's all turned to mud. Soft pudding mud. If you step near it, you're going to sink in up to a foot. That's how saturated the property is. And for 10 years, the HOA, the town of Buckeye, anybody concerned or any regulatory commission or regulatory body that had anything to do with the grading of this lot were satisfied with parking this water up there between my houses. And as I walk up here, I'm going to show you from a different angle the grading I had to do. This right here, between the two houses, this was ground zero for the lake. And you can see the difference in grading. You see that bank I put in there? You see how I had to cut it down? That's that 100 square yards of dirt, 100 yards of dirt that had to be taken out of here. Now you can look at my neighbor's property and you can see it's all graded toward the house. That property line that you see from the white post out to there, that goes uphill. On the grading map, the control document, the document that this was supposed to be built to and inspected by, that goes downhill. But they tampered with it. 12 years ago when they built this lot, they tampered with the elevation. I didn't get what I paid for. They intentionally parked the water over here, right here. And if you can see this cement right here is all rotted. That's a rotted tooth. My neighbor's house doesn't look like that. Their cement is the same year as was poured near the same day that mine was, and they don't have this kind of rot on their patio. You know why? Because their patio wasn't designed as a catch basin like this one was. This was, like I said, ground zero. And I'll show you in other pictures where it's ground zero. It's the first place the puddle starts and it's the last place the puddle goes away.